Hello, welcome to this VMware on the IBM Cloud demo. My name is Bert Jonker. I'm a cloud architect in the IBM Cloud organization in Europe. Before I start the demo, let me start with describing what you are going to see. I will demo how we move a virtual machine in a vSphere 6 environment in the IBM Software Cloud. We will move those VMware VMs from a software data center in London to a software data center in Amsterdam. And as you might recognize from my accent, that is where I originate from. The long distance vMotion is a migration of a web server, while we are actually accessing the website from a workstation in the same environment. That's what I try to picture in this on the picture in your screen. The web server is running a script that checks the hypervisor host it runs on every 2 seconds. And the results are presented on the web page that you see. At the same time, you will see on that screen a terminal session that pings the web server. And in the output of that ping, you see the latency in between the workstation and the web server. And if you move the web server from London to Amsterdam, there is a distance in between the VMs and the latency will go up. Now let's start the demo. At the left, you see the VMware vCenter web portal. In there you see two software data centers. Amsterdam 03 and London 01. That are the actual names of the data centers in the software. And in there, in Amsterdam, you see 3 on-demand bare metal servers, and in London you see 1. In Amsterdam, we built a VMware vSAN shared storage cluster, 3 servers, since a vSAN cluster requires a minimum of 3 servers. In London, you see only 1, and that is a server using simple local disk in a bare metal server. Across those 4 ESX hosts in Amsterdam and London, we created an NSX-based overlay network. With that virtual network, on top of a physical network, we can use the same IP addresses, independent of the physical underlay network in Amsterdam and London. We can move a VM from Amsterdam or from London to Amsterdam without the need to change an IP address. Now, let's look at the VMs I'm using. I have a demo, one web server, which is the web server that we are going to look at while it is being moved. It has IP address 172.20.0.50. The other VM is the workstation that has an IP address in the same space. And on the right of my screen, you see the console of that machine. Now, let's log on to that machine. It's a complex password. And this is a demo workstation. It's a Linux workstation, which I have a browser session. And that browser session is actually to the web server. And you can see that it's using the IP address that the web server has. You can see it at the top, and it tells you that it actually has it. You see a picture, since it's running in London. This is a picture of London, and in the text you see that we run on the London 02 vSphere 01, which is the server here at the left. That's the host we're on. In the right top you see a terminal session in which there's the ping. We run the ping, and you see that we have a very low latency. Both machines run on the same hypervisor host. Now in the demo, let's move the web server. I will select to move it, and we will move it to Amsterdam. So let's pick a host in Amsterdam. Let's pick the first one. Let's say okay. It will ask me a question. I selected the target hypervisor, and it asked me just if I want to move the compute resources or also the virtual hard disk. So I changed both compute resources and storage. I select both. The virtual hard disk actually contains the data of the VM. In this case, this disk is about 11 gig. Since I move from one data center to another data center, and I do not use a shared SUN across this geo-dispersed cluster, I need to move both. It now asks me to what data store I want to copy, and in Amsterdam I told you I have the vSAN data store, so that is spread across the 3 hypervisor hosts. I select that, and that vSAN, each vSAN server is having an SSD disk and 3 SATA disks in this demo environment. It now asks me for which network I want to connect it to, and here I select the virtual wire, representing the overlay network that we built that stretches the IP subnet and VXLAN across the both data centers. Do I want to do it now or later? Let's do it now. And let's press finish. At the bottom, you see that it now started. It's actually running. As you can see in the left bottom, the migration starts. It starts with a copy of 11 gig of virtual disk from London to Amsterdam. While 11 gig is a lot of data, it should not take long to copy that amount of data across the soft layer private network. Soft layer private network spreads the globe, and it comes ready to use without any additional cost or the requirement to create tunnels between data centers. The bandwidth that we're using here between Amsterdam and London, or London to Amsterdam, how you want to see it, we use it in this demo, currently has 16 times 10 gig dedicated fibers across 4 carriers, delivering an amazing bandwidth. And this bandwidth is managed based on utilization. So if the utilization grows above an average of 50%, we will add more bandwidth. And that is why we say that we have ample bandwidth in soft layer. And you will notice that the actual move will still take about 2 minutes. In that 2 minutes, we copy the virtual hard disk and we synchronize the changes being made on the VM while being moved. Remember that we're using the VM while moving it. This is actually here at the right. We're moving it. And that process will reach a point where the 2 VMs are in sync on disk, RAM and CPU on both sides of the network. And at that same time, vCenter will lock the VM for an instance of a second, and the active session will be moved at that time. Here at the right, you can see that the latency is still low. It's still much less than 1 second. Now, you see the time going up here in the terminal session. That means that the move has completed. Yeah? In a little later, the browser will update in here. You see that it still reports that it's on London. It takes some time for the browser to update. But it now tells you it's in Amsterdam. And a couple of seconds later, it will have the refresh and you will see the picture of this very beautiful city where I originate. The IP address of the server, the web server, is still the same. So 172.20.0.50. And as I said, it did not change during the move. Now let's go back to the presentation we started with. I have some documents where you can find on knowledge layer, reference architecture, the software defined data center, reference architecture, and there are some cookbooks on knowledge layer that tell you how to deploy VMware on soft layer. The cost of what I built is in this picture in green. So I gave some examples. Building a one server where you can run 10 to 20 VMs, and that is only limited by the number of RAM that I used to keep the cost low. You can start for something like $900. In green on this picture you see what I spent. I created 4 server environment across 2 sites, and in green you see the license cost that you have to add on top of this. So for less than $6,000. You can build an environment on which you can run 40 VMs, and if you add a little more memory, you can double the number of VMs to run in there, or even more if you add more memory. Now, this brings us to the end of the demo. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. And again, look at the website, knowledge layer, where you can find the reference materials. Thank you.